Hey guys, so I am back to do a video update for my 38 week. I am currently 39 weeks as we speak. So this will be just talking about all last week, which was kind of a frustrating week for me. Sundays is when my weeks change over. So on Sunday we were at church, and church for us is 3 hours long, and probably about an hour into church, I started feeling some pressure waves, but they were just kind of sporadic, not really anything. By the second hour, they had started to get a little bit more intense. I was still able to just walk and talk fine. I work in the nursery with the 18-month to 3-year-olds, so thankfully I have a lot of help in there, but I'm still just kind of active while I'm at church, tending to them. But anyways, I noticed that they were, increasing slightly. By the time that we were heading home from church, because where we are on base, our church is located just off of base, so we have to walk. It's probably a mile from church and back, so the whole distance. But obviously walking is good for bringing on your birthing time, so I don't, at this point, although it's uncomfortable to walk, I don't mind doing it because I'm like, bring it on. So anyways, so we're walking home, and they're definitely coming more consistently now in frequency. And we got home and we started having dinner and whatnot, and I was sitting on the birthing ball that we have, because I moved my dining room chair, and now I only sit on the birthing ball to just kind of help bring him down and help with his position and things like that. Anyway, so I was sitting on the birthing ball, and I was noticing that they were definitely coming more frequently, and the intensity was a little bit more. So I pulled out the little timer that I have on my iPhone and just started timing them. I don't plan on timing my pressure waves consistently throughout the entire birthing time, but I did want to, when I thought that maybe this is possibly it, I wanted to start timing them for about an hour just to get an idea before I actually start letting the other people in our birthing team, our photographer, the babysitter, things like that, know that, hey, this is what's going on. So I pulled out the timer and started timing for about an hour. They were about 2 to 3 minutes apart, lasting about 45 seconds to 60 seconds in the duration of them. And so after about an hour of that, I went ahead and let our birth photographer know, hey, this is what's up. Nothing has changed dramatically in that hour. They're just consistent for the hour. And, I'm just giving you a heads up that I think that my birthing time is starting. So, we hadn't called the babysitter yet, because we aren't going to call her until we're pretty much ready to go into the hospital, because we'll be able to tend to our daughter at home. So after about 4 hours of having those consistent pressure waves, they just kind of stopped. They kind of just stalled out. I would get one every, 30 minutes, or I don't know. But they just pretty much stopped after that. So we had another false alarm. And that was kind of annoying, because I had actually thought, more than the Christmas false alarm, I had really thought that this was it, because they were only 2 to 3 minutes apart. They were more intense than they were during Christmas. Nothing that I wasn't able to still walk and talk through, but it was definitely a noticeable discomfort, things like that. I had really thought that we were going to be starting birthing time, so I went ahead and I baked up those cookies. If you watched my hospital bag video, then you know that we wanted to bring in cookies and brownies for the labor and delivery staff when we go in, as kind of like a thank you for being part of our experience kind of thing. So I baked up those cookies and the brownies, and then I had even packed up our hospital bag completely, because we had left out the clothes, and that kind of stuff. So I started packing up our hospital bag, and it just stopped. So that was like really frustrating. So we definitely, you know, am having a lot of prodromal labor or false labor, whatever you want to call it. The technical term is prodromal labor. You know, I did a bunch of research, and most of the research came from the spinningbabies.com website that I had talked about a little while ago. But did a bunch of research and just kind of settled on the idea, I guess, through the research, that his positioning isn't quite right, and my body's trying to start the birthing process, but since his position isn't right, there's not enough weight being placed on my cervix, and it can't dilate, and blah, 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 blah. So basically I needed to work on his positioning again. So started doing several techniques and working on that, and just was kind of waiting every day, just kind of having some pressure waves, more Braxton Hicks, honestly. But since that Sunday, the Braxton Hicks have increased in intensity. So they aren't just the kind of cramping or a little bit of the pressure or contracting of the muscle that you can feel, but a little bit more of the discomfort that I feel along with it. So the week went by just trying to work every day on doing the techniques. A lot of hands on my hands and knees, just trying to, you know, keep him so that his back is, so that he stays in an anterior position. Trying to do some inversions to help stretch out the ligaments down there so that he can drop better. Things like that. Some of the techniques weren't able to be used until I actually started having pressure waves again, because there's something that you do during the pressure waves to help. Anyways, so that was, you know, I couldn't do any of those techniques until I actually started having regular pressure waves again. So along comes Friday, 5 days later. Same as with Christmas. Christmas it happened, and then 5 days later had another false alarm. So 5 days later, Friday happens, and here comes another false alarm. So starting about 9 o'clock at night, same thing happened, just kind of, they weren't as consistent. It was very irregular, I would say. The intensity of the pressure waves and the frequency of the pressure waves was very inconsistent. Some of them would be, you know, more frequent. Other ones would last longer, or the intensity would be higher or lower. Like, they just weren't consistent at all. But it started about 9 o'clock, and I was feeling them, you know, on a regular basis. They were happening, they were happening repeatedly for several hours, just not a regular consistency or intensity. So usually with my past false alarms, it had lasted for about 4 or 5 hours and then just stopped. This time it didn't. It continued on throughout the night, which was really annoying because I couldn't sleep. Some of the pressure waves had gotten a little bit more intense to where I would still be able to walk and talk through them, but it was definitely something where I was just needing to take a couple of deep breaths through, occasionally using the cues to help with the hypnotic anesthesia, things like that, which did help, definitely. I feel more and more confident as every day goes by and I'm having to deal with these pressure waves, and I'm still using the the hypnobabies techniques. So 5 o'clock rolls around, my daughter came into bed, I let her nurse. She nursed, and the nipple stimulation still wasn't like increasing the frequency or intensity of them, but I was still having them. So she finally gets up and we start our day, and I'm still having them. So I'm like, okay, well, let's maybe try and make the best of this. My daughter had her ballet class, or so we thought. And so we walked across the base to go to the ballet class. I figured walking was the best thing I could do at that point. Turns out that her ballet class was canceled for that day, which we didn't know about. So that was kind of annoying, but at least I got my walking in. So we walked some more, still feeling the pressure waves, but it wasn't changing in the intensity or frequency of them. So we continued doing errands, walking around the base and whatnot, just trying to stay up bright, walking and just kind of active without, really putting a lot of pressure on myself to do anything because I didn't really know what was going on. By about 2 p.m., we were finally walking home, and they had pretty much stopped again. So this was definitely the longest false alarm that I'd had, but at this point, I'm not like getting, I don't know what to think of them. I'm not like, okay, is this it? Oh, is this one it? Or I could be. I'm just kind of like, yep, I'm having pressure waves. Here we go again. So I don't know what's going to happen when I actually do go into like active labor, like when my birthing time actually starts, because I'm just going to be like, nah, this isn't it. It's just going to go away in a couple of hours. And from what I've heard from friends who have either had prodromal labor themselves or have known friends with prodromal labor, that the active portion of their labor, the actual, I guess, birthing time is very short. Like we're talking a couple of hours. And I'm just like, okay, so who knows what's going to happen. I am just like hanging in there, just like, if the pressure waves start up, I'm just like, okay, and I'll just keep going about my day. Or, like if they're at night when I'm laying in bed, I just lay there. I'm like, I'm not going to get up and try and start this because I don't know what's going to happen with it. It's quite annoying and frustrating, but I'm just like, he's going to come when he's ready. And I'm trying to help with his position, and trying to help him do what he needs to do. But I'm not going to keep trying to put a lot of pressure on myself or false hope in the next time that I have a pressure wave, So I'm just like, whatever. Oh, it'll happen when it happens. So, like I said at the beginning of the video, I'm 39 weeks right now. And so my due date is Saturday. Right now it's Sunday, and my due date is Saturday. So that's just crazy for me to think, because I just thought that I would be one of those cool women who has their subsequent babies earlier. And who knows, my daughter came at 39 weeks and 4 days. So I still technically have like a couple of days until he's actually no longer like earlier than she was. So we'll just see. But at this point, I just feel like I'm never going to pop, as people like to say. They're like, oh, you're ready to pop. I'm like, no. It's never going to happen. I'm just going to give birth to a toddler, I swear. So, anyways, that's pretty much it. I did have a prenatal appointment last week. Nothing really happened. She checked his fundal height. She checked his, she felt for his head. And she said that it is low, like in my pelvis, but she had estimated it, this is externally, not internally. She'd estimated it to be probably at a -2 station. And if you don't know, your baby needs to be at like a +2 in order to be ready to come out. So we still have quite a ways to go. I didn't do a cervical exam. I don't really believe in doing those until you actually get into the hospital and you're ready to push. Because even if I were to be, if I would have been checked at my appointment and she would have told me I was dilated at all, that doesn't matter. I still haven't had him. So what good does it do to know? So unless I'm actually like at the hospital, ready to go, ready to push him out, there's no need for her to check me or anything like that. So that was just externally from her feeling my stomach, my pelvis, where his head is and whatnot. I did schedule my next appointment, which is actually on the 11th, so the day before my due date. There will be a point if I am overdue that she will have to no longer care for me and put me under the care of an OB who will then try and push induction on me. So I don't know what that point will be, whether that's at the 40-week mark or the 42-week mark. I don't know. I don't really care because the normal gestation of a baby is up to 42 weeks, so I'm not actually overdue until I hit past 42 weeks, even though most people consider 40 weeks overdue. But anyways, so induction is not something that I am even in the slightest thinking about I could very well still have 3 weeks to go. And although that would be not fun, it's just part of the process. One annoying thing is that since we packed our hospital bags, we do have my pants that I take my weekly picture in are in the hospital bag. I plan on coming home in those because they're just the most comfortable pair of pants I have right now. And so I've kept them packed away, and like last week I pulled them out and I'd taken my picture and then packed them back away when I had the other false alarm. And then now I just had to take my 39-week picture, and I'm like, I gotta pull them out again. Can't we just go to the hospital and like not have to worry about this? But no, every week, same thing. We'd also baked up the cookies and brownies because I'd purchased more. I'd actually just purchased brownies this time because I was like, I'm not going to worry about baking cookies again, whatever. So for the second false alarm, we'd baked up the brownies again, and we'd also put the orange juice in a container that we could take to the hospital. And once you open the bottle of orange juice, it's only good for, X number of days. So we ended up having to buy new orange juice, and they didn't have the orange juice that I like again. So this is just getting really old. So we're probably not going to do the brownies because who knows when I'm going to go into my birthing time, and who knows if I'm even going to have time to bake the brownies or whatever. So thanks, L&D staff, and I appreciate it. Maybe I'll buy them a card and I'll give it to them. But anyways, that's my update. Not much to update about except that I've had 2 more false alarms and I'm still pregnant. So here's to hoping I don't have to do another weekly update. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.